Hi, I'm Susan with Let'sFeelExcellent.com, and I remember replaying the coaching blog that I was going to tell you what it was the difference between a coach and a therapist and advice from a friend or family member, and I didn't ever really cover that in that blog. So I'm doing another one, and this is its own separate subject of what's the difference between a coach and those other two things. The question about the therapist gets asked a lot, and a coach can be a therapist, and a lot of therapists have taken on more of a coaching style because it's just so effective. So what is the difference? A therapist can tell you if you are codependent, or actually, what is the exact label or diagnosis of your problem. So a psychotherapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist can actually diagnose your problem, and then a psychiatrist can prescribe medication if that is necessary. A coach doesn't use any of that, and a coach can work with those other professionals, but a coach is designed to strategize with the client and also make changes very quickly. So a coach is very solution focused, where a therapist might be more process orientated. And a friend or a family member, so one of the main ingredients, Freud was probably the first one to speak out about this, but he even discovered that if you have a pattern in your psychology that you're trying to break, it's very slippery. And the subconscious, especially if it's something the subconscious is trying to protect, it's something that you do to protect yourself, or you did at one point to protect yourself, the subconscious is very tricky about those things. And so it's hard for that's why it's hard for us on our own to resolve our own problems and our own issues. So that is why a coach can be very, very useful. But the part that Freud discovered, if the client isn't invested, then they're only going to get what they're putting in, and they're not going to put in that much. If they're invested and there's time constraints around that investment, then the solution has a much better chance of actually coming into fruition, because the client has taken that psychological step and actually said, yes, I'm committed to this, and so I'm going to invest in this. And that's what keeps them coming to that's what keeps them going on in their sessions. That's what keeps them on the trip. So if you are taking a trip and you just take a drive in the country, it's not going to be the same as if you have a destination and a purpose to be at that destination. So it's, again, much like a trip. So if you have a vacation destination with a certain purpose in mind, then you're going to want to fulfill it. Like a trip to Disneyland is going to be a totally different outcome than a cruise, say. So you want to pick the destination that's going to fulfill your purpose, and you want to invest accordingly. If you really want a cruise and you don't want to invest in a cruise, and you just go down to your beach or your pond or your river or your lake or something like that and just set up some chairs and sit there, it's not going to be nearly the same outcome that you would really have on the cruise. So if you really want the cruise, you're still going to be wanting the cruise. So that is why the investment is important. A friend or a family member, you don't have the investment and they don't have the investment. And that's not to say that they don't care at all. But the other reason why a friend or a family member may not be able to help you as much is because they're not a trained professional. Coaches actually not only go through the experience that you're wanting to experience, but they actually have this training to help you strategize, to know when to break your pattern, to know what your pattern is, and to strategize into a new pattern. And go ahead and refer to the previous coaching video to find out what those criteria is. I think there was like 7 of the criteria that I mentioned that that really is involved in a great coaching session or a great coaching experience. Okay, so I hope that was helpful, and let me know your comments down below. I'm Susan, and this is letsfeelexcellent.com. Aloha.